up somehow. I'll keep moving.
Song, my Straight Dog family, then you know it is time for me to say greetings to the entire world, because we are on the World Wide Web and we reach and we communicate with you wherever you are on the globe. But we are duty bound to say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region. We go all the way down south on the mainland. We reach and we communicate with Guyana, Venezuela. También hay algunas personas ahí que escuchan. And we coming north from way down south in Trinidad and Tobago. We say good night, Barbados. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Grenada, Dominica, Guadeloupe et Martinique, bonsoir, Antigua and Barbuda. How is Montserrat tonight? And of course, did I say St. Kitts and Nevis? Yes, Nevis, our sister island in particular, have some decisions to make, very important decisions to make in short order. And we trust that the Division people would err on the side of caution. Because we have a King Leopoldo. I'll tell you about that on Thursday, God's spare. But going west, going St. Eustatia, Sabre, St. Bartholomew, St. Barts, as we say, St. Martin, Anguilla, the BVI, Totola, Anegada, Virgin Gorda, the USVI, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. How is Puerto Rico? And then we go to the diaspora all around the world. Some of you I know are in Africa. There's some of you in Europe. Some of you are in Asia. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I can say good morning, and I will also say good evening, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And to the USA, we say happy belated 250th birthday. Oh, getting mature and more mature each year. But we say greetings to our first-timers. And thank those who continue to share the link, because whenever you do, we get first-timers, and we are eternally grateful for that. And for the first-timers, may we inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline free expression on all issues of national, regional, and international interests, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, you do have a forum to express yourselves freely. And on this program, we try to raise the level of national, regional, and international consciousness by alerting all of our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. And in terms of navigating the discourse, the national, regional, and international discourse, yes, my name is Ian Patches Liebert, and I give Almighty God thanks for yet another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And especially for the first-timers, may I inform you as well that Straight Talk is a program, and on this program, absolutely nothing is watered down, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We are not about sensationalism. We are not about excitement, creating excitement, especially if that comes at the expense of accuracy. Because we here on Straight Talk lean on the facts. We present each time what I call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to governance, transparency, accountability, and the list goes on, wherever you are in the universe. Because this program joins us together with people across our federation. It joins us together with people in the diaspora around the world. Some we know very well. Some we have met physically. A lot of you we have met spiritually. But we have met. And we advance nothing but the truth. But some people do not accept the truth. And we have no issue with that. If you are at variance with the views we advance, we have no problem with that. Because we are a different people, and of course we entertain our different views. A diversity of views or diverse views. But please, let's not get disagreeable. Please, let's not get disagreeable. Let's thank Almighty God in the meanwhile for helping us to understand, oh, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Let us therefore hope and pray for the day when we will all sing his praise together. So welcome again, my people, and thanks one more time to those who share the link. You bring first-timers. Please continue to do so. I must also remind our first-timers that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls, and the numbers are on your screens. I know there are some of you who like what I call the cloak of anonymity. So we give you access via our email platform, my Straight Talk family, as well. And I must also welcome, this is an imperative. I cannot get away from this one. And I don't want to get away. I enjoy extending welcome to my Straight Talk Junior Brigade. You're now on vacation. Let's hope you spend that vacation wisely. Young Dwayne, Tristan, Jasmine, Shama, Kevin, Young Rue, Jamal, Travis, and Trevon. Neema, my grandson, and Soraya, Elizabeth. And yes, I haven't heard that special lady in St. Louis for some time. I know you're okay. So let's keep in touch. How is the Queen in Texas as well? And all who continue to religiously join Straight Talk each Monday and Thursday. The first timers, we come your way every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. We normally start with our observations in review. That's when we do some reflection. We highlight the current issues, then do some reflection. We ask a few questions. We provide our updates. And we ensure that's and establish what we learned as a people, because it's a learning process. We're never too old to learn. We learn here on this platform, hopefully every session. But on a sad note, my Straight Talk family, on a sad note, I received the sad news of the passing of Mistress Patricia Hobson of Earlmont, former teacher at the Barstow High School and permanent secretary as well in the Ministry of Education. She has gone to the great beyond peacefully. Understand she lived a long and happy life. Leaves to mourn her son Damien Hobson of Hobson's Enterprises and daughter lawyer Marissa Hobson and many sisters, including Mrs. Menon, K. Menon, Junie Morton, Rod and Al Powell. Almost said Al Herbert. Al Powell. That's the right name. And she leaves Simone as well many nieces, nephews, including Nick, Kerry, and former Minister of Government Jonelle, and others along with her extended families. So on behalf of the Straight Talk family and my own behalf, I do extend profound condolences to the Hobson and entire Herbert family. Yes, we can say whatever we want to say, but truth be told, as Jimmy Cliff sang, who feels it knows it. But all I can say is that death is a process. And I just want to extend, again, profound condolences, and trust and hope that the soul of Patricia Hobson will rest in eternal peace. My first observation relates to an alleged assassination plot against a prime minister. And any assassination plot against the prime minister is an attack on democracy. But recently, there has been a reported disclosure by Trinidad and Tobago's Attorney General, John Jeremy, that law enforcement uncovered an alleged assassination plot targeting Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar, which is a matter of utmost national importance. And Jeremy said this to the Parliament in Trinidad and Tobago.
If you've not realized it before, the protection and succor you found at your Woodbrook cabinet meetings with the former Prime Minister is at an end. And I add only that if you target me, as I expect you will, or my Prime Minister, as you have, hiding behind the newspapers you control, if, as our intelligence suggests, you have in contemplation more and direct action, the indignity.
Yes, that's coming from the Attorney General, John Jeremy. To give that abrupt end there. But while investigations must be allowed to proceed, and all suspects remain entitled to due process, any credible threat against the life of a democratically elected leader must be treated as an attack on the constitutional order itself. Political differences are resolved through debate, elections, and the rule of law, not intimidation or violence. So when political violence or even the credible threat of it enters the national conversation, it undermines the public confidence in democratic institutions and threatens the stability upon which every citizen depends. My Shizok family, the government owes the public as much transparency, nonetheless, as the ongoing investigation safely permits, while law enforcement, that should be, must pursue the facts without fear or favor. Equally, political leaders on all sides should avoid exploiting such a serious matter for partisan advantage and instead unite in condemning any attempt to substitute violence for democracy. Because history has shown that the Caribbean has no interest in importing the politics of assassination and political terror. The appropriate response is unwavering support for the rule of law, respect for due process, and a collective commitment to ensuring that political contests are settled at the ballot box and not by bullets. And we have a very interesting second observation. And I'm sure you will agree that the name Donald Trump is by now synonymous to the art of the deal. And according to multiple reports, and the US President Donald Trump acknowledged that he personally contacted FIFA President Gianni Infantino and asked him to review a red card issued to US striker Folarin Balogun. And Trump had this to say.
I spoke to Johnny, who's highly respected, who's produced the most successful World Cup in history by, they say, 4 times. This isn't just a success. I actually said, Johnny, we've got all these games. Each one is turning out to be a Super Bowl. And we have all these games. You know, when you think of it, every game is like a Super Bowl. Yes, I watched last night. What a game that was with Mexico and England. I mean, 2 countries, I don't know the players, although I think Kane is a great player. See, I played golf with him, and I like him a lot. He's a good golfer. But he's really great. But I watched, and no reason for me to watch, and you couldn't take your eyes off the game. Because I said, Johnny, you know, you have all these games, because they added games, in a country where really it's not our main sport, to put it mildly. And this has been 4 times more successful. He told me last night the numbers are 4 times greater. They think 50 or 60 million people are going to be watching the game tonight. I mean, you know, this is getting to be Super Bowl numbers. But you have a game tonight, and they think they're projecting a minimum of 50 million people watching a game. We call it soccer. It's called football, I guess, but we can't really call it football because it gets there's a little confusion. So yeah, you call it soccer. We're the only ones that do that, but we have football. And football's great. But I've never seen anything like it. So I saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete. And I understand sports really well, really well. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was 2 guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot when you're going. No, these were 2 great athletes that got tangled up, and this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past. I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. If you'd like, I'll provide you with the past. He made a call that nobody could believe. You know, even people on the other side, they say, oh, we got lucky. Wow, and it's very interesting. They say they don't show them in slow motion. And I never realized that. I never heard of that before. That they're not allowed to review in slow motion because it's so different. Because you'll take 1 little quarter of a second and you'll see that a hand is touching a neck, or you see something. Whereas when you see it in fast motion, it will look like 2 guys collided, which is really what happened. They got sort of entangled. He didn't do anything wrong, and he's our best player, or one of our best players, a very vital player. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But when they take your best player, or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. That's, it's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold.
But my Street Talk family, very interesting development there in the World Cup that's ongoing, when the U.S. striker Folarin Balogun got a red card. And the debate continues because shortly after a review, FIFA suspended Balogun's automatic one-match ban, making him eligible to play against Belgium. But the extent of Trump's influence is, however, disputed, because although FIFA President Gianni Infantino confirmed speaking with Donald Trump, but maintained that the decision was made independently by FIFA's judicial bodies under Article 27 of the FIFA Disciplinary Code. And my Straight Dog family, obviously, there continue to be many different reactions to that decision. But World Cup continues, and we'll see how far the USA will reach. My Straight Dog family, there's a public service announcement I want to as well bring to your attention. It relates to that march slated for Friday, this coming Friday, a peaceful march to protect the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the Nevis Civil Society, a group of local community organizations, is inviting all citizens to join them this coming Friday in a peaceful march to show concern about the proposed Destiny Freedom City. And what it could mean for the future of Nevis. The march, as I said, will take place on Friday, July 10th. And according to this release, my Straight Dog family, all concerned citizens, beg your pardon, community leaders, and everyone who cares about the future of St. Kitts and Nevis to come to stand together peacefully. That's a peaceful march, my Straight Dog family. And the route, it starts to meet at 4 p.m. at the Alexander Hamilton Museum on Main Street. Walk south along Main Street at Reliable Motors, turn around and walk back north on Main Street. Then you gather at the DR Walwyn Plaza for a public meeting. And this event is expected to end at 6 p.m. on Friday. So, a march organized by the Nevis Civil Society, a group of local community organizations, inviting all citizens to join this peaceful march to show concern about the proposed Destiny Freedom City project and what it could mean for the future of our country. And my Straight Dog family, those are my observations for tonight. And I move right into my thesis, which I have titled, as mentioned earlier, yes, as I forgive me, my Straight Dog family, as I mentioned earlier, beg your pardon, my thesis I have titled, Drew Practice What He Preached, Secrecy. And I believe that most, if not all of us, I am sure. I repeat, I believe that all, if not most of us, I am sure, are quite familiar with the age-old idiom, practice what you preach. My straight dog family, I'm sure we are all familiar with that age-old idiom, which has its roots stretching from Roman playwright Plautus to the Bible, meaning that you should behave the exact same way you advise others to behave. Failing to do so, I opine, is the classic definition of being a hypocrite. And that's the core truth when one examines the political double standards, the lack of transparency, and backroom governance currently on display in our Caribbean region. Just a few days ago, on July 1 to be exact, the chairmanship of CARICOM continued in rotation after 50 plus years. Yes, 50 plus years. So our Prime Minister, Terence Michael Drew, in keeping with the said tradition, handed the baton to Prime Minister Philip Peer of St. Lucia after one of the most turbulent, disunited months, 6 months, that should be in any period of time in the over 50-year history of the CARICOM Community Union. Recall January the 3rd, when Nicolas Maduro was extracted from Venezuela and indicted in the United States. Recall the blockade of Cuba and, though not exhaustive, the surreptitious appointment of CARICOM Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett. And imagine Terence Michael Drew defying all protocols, all CARICOM statutes, and renewed the CARICOM Secretary General's appointment 6 months before the existing term expired in August. He appointed her through the back door in February. Why? One don't seem to understand up to this moment. But in spite of this plethora of information, Terence Michael Drew cranked up his propaganda machine. Would you believe it, my dear dog family? Terence Michael Drew cranked up his propaganda machine. And he has published this days before handing over the chairmanship to St. Lucia in rotation, as I said. And his propaganda machine is trying to convince us that Drew's CARICOM leadership stands out as steady, visionary, beg your pardon, and unifying in a critical time. Imagine, my straight dog family, Terence Michael Drew's CARICOM leadership stands out as steady, visionary, and unifying in a critical time. It went on to state in his missive that Terence Michael Drew deserves commendation for the steady, principled, and visionary leadership he has provided to the Caribbean community during one of its most challenging periods in recent history. But truth be told, my Stray Dog family, Terence Michael Drew, I am sure we will all agree, he failed us. He failed us all, my Stray Dog family. And now, on his way out, he's calling for unity.
There are moments in the life of every institution when its strength is measured not by the absence of challenges, but by the way it responds to them. I believe these past 6 months have been such a moment for our Caribbean community. 6 months ago, in the capital city of my beloved country, Bastille, I accepted the honor of serving as chairman of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM. I did so with humility, conscious of the legacy of those who came before me and mindful of the responsibility entrusted to all of us to safeguard one of the world's most successful regional integration movements. Today, as I prepare to hand that responsibility to my dear colleague and brother, Prime Minister Philippe Japere of this beloved country, I do so with a deeper sense of appreciation of this community, a stronger conviction in its purpose, and an even greater confidence in its future. These past 6 months have strengthened one conviction above all others, and that is, unity is not simply our highest ideal, it is our greatest strategic advantage.
Imagine. And he went on, my Stray Dog family, to commend highly this CSG, whom he appointed 6 months in advance and caused so much confusion within CARICOM.
I wish to express my sincere appreciation to our Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett and her team. Madam Secretary General, thank you for your professionalism, your integrity, and your steadfast commitment to this community. Throughout my tenure, whenever I called, you answered. Whenever support was required, you and your team responded with diligence, competence, and excellence. You have served and continue to serve CARICOM with distinction. You have understood the importance of preserving the impartiality of the Secretariat while faithfully implementing the decisions of heads of government. That balance has strengthened this community, and for this, I offer, on behalf of all of us, our sincerest gratitude.
But if Terence Michael Drew knew all of that, why didn't he put her reappointment on the agenda? Why didn't he include it in his final communique after the meeting? And these are the questions that one asks. No one, as far as I'm aware, has questioned the capacity to perform of this Secretary General, Dr. Carla Barnett. But it is the process in which Drew, or the process that Drew employed 6 months in advance of her reappointment, is what caused the confusion. No wonder the incoming chairman, Philippe Pierre, stressed on the imperative of unity within CARICOM, my Stray Dog family.
History may forgive us for disagreements. It may even forgive us for delay, but it will never forgive us for failing to create a stronger, safer, fairer, and more united Caribbean community. And as I assume this chairmanship of CARICOM, I do so with humility, determination, and with a deep sense of respect for the responsibility to the people of the region. I'm prepared to serve and listen to my colleagues while working with them in advancing the common good of the CARICOM people. Unity within CARICOM must be foundational.
And yes, unity must be foundational. But what we have found, my Stray Dog family, and I address in particular not just the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis, but also the brothers and sisters across the Caribbean community. And I submit from this platform in the process that there is an illusion of accountability. There is an old, unshakable truth that governs leadership to it. What you practice is what you preach. True leaders do not possess two faces, like Terence Michael Drew. True leaders do not have one set of rules for the public stage and another set of rules for behind closed doors. True leaders do not demand transparency from their opponents while locking their own closets and burying the keys. Yet today, when we look at the administration of Terence Michael Drew, we see a disturbing, repeating pattern of behavior. And Terence Michael Drew took his poor behavior and incompetence from Basseterre all the way to CARICOM. The very same unprofessional practices, the very same habit of concealment, and the very same disregard for institutional rules that he has displayed right here at home in St. Kitts and Nevis were exported to the regional stage during his tenure as chairman of CARICOM. But let us look first at how the administration operates at home here in Barbados. There's a practice of secrecy at home. At home here in Basseterre, beg your pardon. There's a practice of secrecy at home. We were promised a new era of good governance. Instead, we have been handed an era of information lockouts and hidden truths. Think about the concealed World Bank report. For months, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis have demanded full transparency over a year on the country's economic assessments. The World Bank delivered a detailed, vital report on fair revenue sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis. And what has happened, my Stray Dog family?
So I also want to speak about the sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis. The World Bank has sent its analysis, which is now with the FS, which will have discussions with the Nevis Island administration so that we can flesh out properly how we will set up the mechanism to make sure that the sharing of revenues, whether tax or non-tax, that is totally transparent and open so that there is no question as to who gets what is the unfair sharing. But there should be equity. Equity, of course, takes into account difference in population and so forth. But nonetheless, it is critically important that there is equity and that nobody is shut out. Neither St. Kitts as an island nor Nevis as an administration should be shut out of what should be a transparent way of sharing revenues.
And let's talk. And talk is cheap. But they say whiskey costs money. Because rather than laying the report bare before the parliament and the citizens of this country, it has been kept in the shadows, in the back rooms. Why hide the economic reality from the taxpayers, Terence Michael Drew, who fund this government? It's we, the taxpayers, who fund your government. His bold announcement about Tabasco peppers and the jobs it intended to create have gone with the wind. You remember he said there'll be 300 workers per acre? Where are the Tabasco peppers? Where are the workers? Terence Michael Drew. These are questions we need answered.
Madam Speaker, I mentioned in all of this, and also let me mention the Tabasco project. I want to say that Tabasco is presently on the ground. We have already procured a significant the equipment that are necessary to implement that project. The equipment are on their way here. We have already secured a space on the industrial site, and to let our people know that the Tabasco project will move ahead this year.
But that was last year, my straight talk family. That was February 2025. A whole year and 5 months have passed. But there's a CBI information blackout. Look at our citizenship by investment program, our CBI program. Our economic lifeline is constantly embroiled in questions of numbers, signed passports, and regulatory compliance. When the media asks the Prime Minister direct questions about CBI figures, he points his finger at the citizenship by investment unit. But when the media knocks on the CIU's door, they are met with total silence. The executive chairman, St. Just, has a pin on his mouth. The leader of our nation has direct access to these files, yet he practices a strategy of total evasion. Terence Michael Drew has been tight-lipped about the threats to our visa-free access to the Schengen area, my straight dog family. He has been tight-lipped about our visa-free access to the Schengen area. And those threats suggest we'll lose such access by the end of this year, 2026, over concerns surrounding our CBI program. But again, the backdoor dealing continues. Concealing the number of passports sold, although Drew revealed the number of shares as it relates to the jail project, my straight dog family. No doubt that Tim approved the jail project, but there's also no doubt that Drew signed 80% of the certificates of registration. Terence Michael Drew criminalized the project. Brantley wants now 10,000 shares for Destiny. The country does not know how many shares or passports Terence Michael Drew is planning to approve for Destiny if it is still alive, if that project is still alive. But not one word on this release from Terence Michael Drew, my straight dog family. Not one word. Not one word. The breaking news. Government to engage EU after request to end citizenship by investment program by 2028, reads this headline. And speaking on Point FM on Saturday, Gaston Brown said the government is seeking a high-level meeting with European officials to persuade them to reconsider what he described as a threatened policy change. And Gaston Brown was up front. Gazi Jed was up front with his people in Antigua, not Terence Michael Drew here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The Union has threatened that they could withdraw their visa-free access potentially by the end of the year. We don't know for sure they will, but we're trying to have a high-level engagement with them to see if we can ask them to reconsider. We have the view that an electronic travel authorization should be sufficient, though it's not as extensive in terms of the due diligence compared to visa. We think that it's a sensible thing to do to maintain the good relations that we've had over the years, not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So we are hoping that we'll get that engagement before any such action is taken. But there are these threats that are taking place within Europe. You'd recognize that recently Ireland actually discontinued visa-free arrangements with St. Nevis.
Yes.
And we could anticipate that despite our best efforts that these visa-free arrangements may be discontinued. What I will say here, under my leadership and certainly on the Labour Party's governance of this country, with or without those visa-free arrangements, our CIP program continues. It is too important a source of non-tax revenue to give it up. And we are pretty sure that we have strengthened our program and that does not represent any significant risk to any country. We do accept that you have the residual risk in which from time to time you may end up with one or two crooks. And nothing is foolproof, and it's no different from their investment immigration programs. Even the EB-5 program in the United States, they've had a lot of crooks. I mean, the one in Canada too. But they keep pointing fingers at us as though, they are not fallible and as though their programs have not attracted crooks too.
But my Stray Dog family, the big question, will visa-free arrangements giving access to the Schengen area continue? That's a big question we asked tonight. But as we reflect on Terence Michael Drew and what he took from Bastille to CARICOM, he exported his bad habits to CARICOM. When Terence Michael Drew took up the mantle as chairman of CARICOM, we hoped that he would elevate our nation's or federation's reputation. Instead, the exact same unprofessional habits of concealment were put on display for the entire Caribbean to witness. The surreptitious reappointment I made mention earlier of Secretary General Dr. Carla Barnett. Look at what transpired during the 50th meeting, regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In February, under his chairmanship, regional leaders has pushed through the reappointment of Dr. Barnett. And all kinds of questions are still being asked. Was protocol breached? Because this wasn't an open standard procedure. Member states like Trinidad and Tobago had to file formal written objections because the item was completely omitted from the provisional agenda. It was never debated in open plenary sessions. Instead, it was handled quietly during a private retreat, bypassing the required formal recommendations of the Community Council of Ministers. This matter is not settled, my Stray Dog family, even though there's a new chair, Philip Peel of St. Lucia, Prime Minister of St. Lucia. And the 51st meeting was convened yesterday. And Straight Talk provides an unedited interview by TNT News with political scientist Professor Hamid Ghani just before the rotation of the chairmanship. And this is self-explanatory. I would expect you to concur.
Pointing to the February reappointment of Dr. Carla Barnett to a second 5-year term as CARICOM Secretary General, political scientist Professor Hamid Ghani described the vote as problematic. He referenced a 48-page constitutional opinion by UWI law professor Rajendra Ramlogan, which concludes that there may be strong legal grounds to challenge the validity of the reappointment before the Caribbean Court of Justice.
The governance issues, how the organization governs itself, is something that I think the whole Carla Barnett episode has forced CARICOM to look at itself and how it governs itself. And you do something as prominent as reappointing a Secretary General without some kind of formal agenda item and a confession that the matter was never on the agenda, but you still went ahead and had a little meeting in Nevis and you appointed, reappointed a Secretary General.
TNT's delegation was absent for the vote at the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government in St. Kitts in February, leaving the country unrepresented during a key decision. Professor Ghani questioned CARICOM's level of engagement.
Is that the way that we, as Caribbean people, want our premier regional organization, CARICOM, to conduct its affairs? I mean, the Organization of American States, United Nations, NATO, many of these large organizations, the European Union, whichever organization you want to take, they do not appoint their premier leadership in this kind of offhanded manner and behind closed doors.
He maintained that CARICOM must adopt a more professional and transparent approach to governance.
I think it's murky, it's not a good look, and it doesn't augur well if that's how we are going to run our governance affairs in CARICOM. We need to operate in a very professional, upfront and straightforward manner, not in the manner in which this was done back in February. And February really was a very awkward situation, and it created a lot of disenchantment on all sides. And I think that CARICOM needs to clean up its act where that is concerned at this meeting.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has since indicated that Trinidad and Tobago will not recognize Dr. Barnett as Secretary General after August 2026.
August 2026 comes next month, my Street Talk family. Just like the World Bank reported home, the decision to reappoint the Secretary General was entirely left out of the official summit communique issued to the public. But despite those concerns, there has been no indication from CARICOM that the reappointment has been reversed or suspended. As matters stand, Dr. Carla Barnett remains the Secretary General and is due to commence her second term, that is, in August 2026. That's next month. But in conclusion, my Straight Talk family, we call for true leadership. And this is not a question of individual competence. It is a question of constitutional, procedural integrity. You cannot preach regional integration, institutional strength, and democratic unity, and then practice backroom deals, omitted agendas, and hidden reports. The lesson is clear, my Straight Talk family. The way a leader performs at home is exactly how they will perform on the global stage. The culture of concealment in Bastille became the culture of concealment for CARICOM. And no matter what
recently,
says,
our sister nation Trinidad and Tobago was elected to the United Nations Security Council. During that campaign, I remained in close communication with Trinidad and Tobago's permanent representative to the United Nations. One fact became abundantly clear during that campaign. Although Trinidad and Tobago was the candidate, it entered that election carrying the united and public support of the Caribbean community. That support mattered. It demonstrated that when CARICOM stands behind one of its own, our collective voice commands respect on the world stage. For one could imagine that Trinidad, a very small country when one considers the world going up against other countries to go on the Security Council by itself. I dare say, like any of us, we would not stand a chance. But together, Trinidad is now in that place. It reminded us that while each of our nations may be small, together we are a community whose voice cannot easily be ignored.
My Straight Talk family, Terrence Michael Drew is so false. Because the CARICOM has a caucus at the United Nations, a 14-member caucus. And the CARICOM has a representative who attends all these caucus meetings and meetings at the UN General Assembly. But that representative has no vote, has no voice at the UN, has a voice at caucus meetings, but no vote at caucus meetings. So why would Terrence Michael Drew have to be in contact with the permanent representative? No. There's COFCOR, a Council of Foreign Ministers, and there's a COFCOR rep at CARICOM. That's how it works, Terrence Michael Drew. You don't need to call no permanent representative of Trinidad and Tobago. You call the permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis. You don't even call the permanent representative of St. Kitts and Nevis. The foreign minister calls that representative. So what lies are you fabricating, trying to make yourself look good, Terrence Michael Drew? Foolish. It is time to reject the politics of shadows. It is time to demand leaders who understand that honesty is not a performance. It is a practice. Here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we must therefore demand a government that finally practices what it preaches, not secrecy. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I will open the lines at this time and entertain your calls and your emails. The numbers, as I said, are on your screens. But I want to implore you, as I always do, before I open the lines momentarily, that you respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned, and let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us, my Straight Talk family, be in saying and doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. With that said, I go to the lines, my Straight Talk family. It's 3 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. I say good night to our first caller. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Mr. Leiber.
Good night, my dear. Quotationist, yes. I recognize the voice.
The best weapon of a dictatorship is secrecy.
Is secrecy.
But the best weapon of a democracy
best weapon of a democracy
should be the weapon of openness.
Be the weapon of openness.
I repeat, the best weapon of a dictatorship is secrecy, but the best weapon of a democracy should be the weapon of openness. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening as well. Always welcome your thought-provoking quotations, my dear lady from across the Narrows there in Nevis. And no different tonight, as usual, from my quotationist. The best weapon of a dictatorship is secrecy. But the best weapon of a democracy should be the weapon of openness. Well said, my dear lady. As I go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. It's 9:04.
Mr. Straighter.
Mr. My dear brother from another mother. Abracadabra. I recognize that voice.
Abracadabra. How are you, my brother from another mother? How are you?
I am peaceful, my brother. What about you?
Yeah, man. What can I say? So far, so good. You just gotta do what you gotta do, even though the forces are coming up against you. You still has to push through. So that's one of the things that you have to do. You have to stand up strong, no mind what's going on all around you. You still have to do what you have to do. So I just want to thank you for being there for us as usual at all time. I understand you are doing a wonderful job, and everybody is even our little quotationist. I love to hear her laugh. She have a great laugh, and that's all I love about her. Yes, I love to hear her laugh, man. I can't wait to see that young lady when God help me to get there, but that's what one other time. So, Mr. Straighter, you talk about, let me just say hello to my people before I do this. Good night to my brother Alvin and my brother from another mother, Ellis, and Abby and family. How is my lovely niece in St. Louis and Texas Queen? I pray that all is well with you and my brother from another mother, Ellis. Mr. Straighter, what happened to the Tabasco paper? We know who Mr. is. Understand? Mr. says that last year, I think it's last year, he said that we're going to run out of people to do work.
Yeah, last year, February to be exact.
So this year, February, what happened then? That the work ain't begin as yet?
Well, my grandmother would say he lie like when a horse is trotting.
I don't know, but I have no idea what's going on with our government. Our government put out the best foot, and then it's the worst foot. Understand? My father and them all used to say, when a man got a soto, you cannot go in crowd. And that's all what happened to Dr. Jew. King lawyer Dr. Jew has a soto. And every time he go out in the crowd, they mash it, he changes his tongue. That's all I can say. Because if this man come out there and people never, but nobody even asks the man what happened to the Tabasco farm.
He wouldn't answer you.
So, how did they do this? That this thing was such a project. You see, I blame you, because he was supposed to go let me see what Tabasco pepper look like, and he never get to go.
But the peppers,
understand?
The peppers,
so he could say he planted up a whole land and then he didn't plant up none.
But the season germinate, so
and what he did, he put his water in there and somebody mash it, and it start jumping. And when it jump, blood come from it, so somebody know what to go and say, look, Lord, the mash it to come. So that's what happened with him.
Okay, my brother.
You understand? That nobody wouldn't ask the man what happened to the Tabasco farm.
Well, he bought some machinery, he said.
Yes, sir, that's what I hear tonight when you play that he bought some machinery.
So he said, where the machinery is, we don't know.
But I was just going to ask you what they look like. Have you ever seen them?
We don't know, my brother. We don't know. But all is well.
You understand? So I don't know, Mr. Straighter. I think I said enough for the night. No, I laughing with you tonight. Usually I'm mad, but tonight is not a mad night. Tonight is laughing night because of a coatiness. Okay. Bring that laugh, and now I'm laughing with you because this man, I don't know, Mr. Straighter, but God is good. So, Mr. Straighter, I'm going to see you when I see you. Take your time, do what you got to do until I come your way. See you when I see you. Abracadabra.
Yes, my brother. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding caller. You are live. Hello, caller.
Hey, Practised, good night. How are you doing?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Oh, yeah, I'm here hanging in, just listening to the program, listening to Straight Talk. And first, I want to thank God for life. Thank God for the Federation. Think it Nevis, a blessed country, And I think that if we choose the right people to run the affairs of our country, I believe that the country will do better and the people in the country will do better.
I believe you too. I believe you too.
Yeah, Practice.
So,
You know, Dr. Joe Problem. Dr. Joe Problem. He get into government telling lies. And he continue telling lies. And the reason why he can't talk the truth, he feel like if he talk the truth, he gonna bring down the Labour Party in government. So he's saying all kind of thing. He ain't want to bring the truth to the people, but he ain't not that. When he ain't talk the truth and bring the truth to the people, it backfiring on the country and backfiring on he. Because look at it, he got a man so-called he advisor on radio talk shows telling a load of lies. You know?
mm-hmm.
What going on in the country and what happening and nothing like that happening. And these the things backfiring on the people of this country. And next thing again, Practice, I made to understand that a load of Jamaicans showing in this country. They putting them in different constituency to pad up the list to election coming up. Practice, I telling the people of this country, CCM, NRP, PAM, PLP, Labour, when people come in and dictate a government for you, decide a government for you, in your country, it's going to be bad for us. Because these people coming in, they're going to get work, your children going to have to work, your grandchildren going to have to work, and these people going to get the work. Because what? They're coming controls against government over you. And this the ignorance under this Labour administration trying to do all the time. And it ain't good for the people of this country. But if any government in power and they're doing all these things, that could show is poor performance. Because how you going to bring in other people from different countries to over your people, them to vote choose a government over you people who born national, who born here. Practice, I call on the people to stop, look and listen, and to listen straight talk, because straight talk is the only program in the federation right now that bring the real issues, the real topic, the hurting issues in this country to the ordinary man and woman. But you never get back. And I want to say good night to all those in the diaspora who call in and make the contribution. I want them to continue the way they got to do, because we got to remove Labour. We cannot allow to get them there destroying our economy and destroying our country. That is good night.
Good night, my brother. Always thankful for your contributions as we go right back to the lines at 9:30. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Good night, Mr. Liebert.
Yes, good night. Sounds like Carl Brown.
Listeners home and abroad, Carl Brown here. Yes, Mr. Liebert, a couple of questions. From since 2022, Labour government took office, we have been hearing the utterance of the CVI being undergoing enormous upgrade and restructuring. And we heard that very, very often from our Prime Minister, Dr. Joe. How come now we are not hearing anything of the threat of closing down by the end of this year? Where is Dr. Joe response? Where is Dr. Joe now to alert the nation of the threat? Well, you know, as usual, he always on a plane. Mm-hmm. The other question, you realize every time Labour government is in office, we are under the threat of losing the CVI. I don't know how many people around and have been around that long to understand that we all remember under Dr. Douglas how many threats we had, right? And how come every time Labour government is in, we always under the threat of being blacklisted by some nation around the world? The other question is the committee in Parliament, we're supposed to oversee the spending of government. There's supposed to be one in Nevis. What that committee is called?
I think you're referring to the Public Accounts Committee.
Yes, the Public Accounts Committee. Well, Mr. Libert, we should be calling for the resignation of all of those members.
But no committee was established. There's no committee that was established.
But there's supposed to be one. You cannot run a government without a Public Accounts Committee. That is made up.
The Public Accounts Committee is normally made up of or chaired by the leader of the opposition. You know, they review the accounts. The government can't police itself.
Because I also hear in the cry over in Nevis from the NRP that there is no Public Accounts Committee in Nevis either.
Well, I don't know if there's an opposition leader in Nevis up to now, because
Oh no! There is no opposition leader. They have not sought out that. No, none of the two representative. Well, at that time, none of the two representatives did decide to support each other to give opposition leader.
What's the point you're trying to make, though? I'm trying to follow you.
The point I'm trying to make, how come nobody is managing the government of St. Kitts, where the federal government and the government of Nevis of spending? Because we go into Parliament every year, we lay the budget before the nation and the world, and then we go in there and we overspend the budget by over 200 and as close as $300 million per year. So the question is, who is monitoring the spending and the finances that overspend the budget by so much hundreds of millions? I'm gone, Mr. Libert, I'll be back.
Thank you very much for your intervention, Mr. Carl Brown. The Public Accounts Committee, though, has its role as stipulated. I'm not certain. I'll have to recheck. Let me not misguide you if it is cited in the Constitution. But the Public Accounts Committee is a committee that's it is in fact a parliamentary committee that examines how government money is spent and ensures public funds are used efficiently, legally, and for the purposes approved by the legislature. So it examines government expenditure. It scrutinizes audit reports, because the Auditor General, I think that's the position called, has its own role as well. But the Public Accounts Committee ensures financial accountability, checks whether expenditure was authorized by Parliament, the legislature, and whether funds were used properly, and detects waste and misuse of funds and calls for explanations, So it acts as a watchdog, so to speak, over public finances. It promotes transparency and accountability and helps ensure value for money as it comes to to public resources. So the leader of the opposition, right, normally chairs the committee, but every time Mark Brantley has been in opposition, and as leader of the opposition, he has never, ever established such a committee. So that's again the role of the leader of the opposition. You wonder why is he being paid, Mark Brantley? Because he does absolutely nothing when it comes to the opposition and how the leader of the opposition functions. But my Straight Talk family, it's now 20 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. If you have just joined me, we are looking at our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Practice What You Preach. Secrecy is my label for tonight. And let's go back to the lines and I'll come back to you, my Straight Talk family. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller?
Yes. Good night, Mr. Ian Patches.
Good night, sir.
The originator of the unvarnished truth. There were no challenges, and I don't think there will be any challenges moving forward because of the unvarnished truth that you reveal to us, the knowledge and the education. I am one of your students, and I am yearning to be learning each and every time I listen to you. Not that I don't have a mind of my own. I do. But the thesis tonight was so sound and truthful. And I will say, he who tells the truth shall set him free. And our leaders should have and be mindful when they take office, out of office before its people and God. They should practice to do such thing. If not, what is your benefit to the country? Is it wealth that most of these past leaders was just shooting for, grasping for, planning for? Well, thank God for you. You are a well-sent saint of truth to help us all. Now, how does the Prime Minister and the Premier feels they are partners in crime? They are not operating to the Constitution and trying to lead the people going down a path of destruction, lies. Example, they procure projects with such and such a budget. Where are those projects? Where are those monies that was procured for these projects? Are the money sitting in an escrow account? They are contemplating they will still fulfill their projects, or it gone in another part of a deep pocket, which we will label kleptocrats. And if they become millionaires, as either Kissinger or Nixon said, show me a political millionaire and I will show you a damn crook. We have a bunch of crooks, good for nothing. Leaders, so-called leaders, dishonest and despicable. And we, as the people of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, has to continue sift until we find that. Don't give up. Hope is still on the way.
Okay.
I will leave it right there for others to get their 5 cents or 5 minutes of moment. And I will come in again when I get a chance. Thank you for the time.
Thank you
God.
for Thank you for your contribution. I received a call yesterday. Reads this email yesterday afternoon, that should be, from a colleague of mine and asked what I was doing. I said I was listening to the CARICOM meeting in St. Lucia. The colleague angrily retorted, "Man, I thought you were listening to that jackass advisor to the Prime Minister, Edinburgh, on Freedom Radio." I said, "No, I don't waste time listening to fools." However, I said, "What is he talking about, though?" My colleague said, "Man, imagine this uneducated jackass is trying to diminish Mr. Peter Adrian last Monday's commentary on the IMF report and the economy of the Federation." He said Peter's presentation was not an economic address, but was a political speech. The senseless political prostitute believes he can abuse anyone who is not in agreement with Labour and Jews' absurd policies. But you see, he's getting over $10,000 as a paid advisor to the Prime Minister. Therefore, he has to do what he is doing to sustain his salary. Other than that, he's just an impressionist calling himself bright, reads this email. This email reads, "Patches, Jensen should be charged with treason or stripped of his citizenship. First, he's bringing over 30,000 people, then build a wall to separate the 10,000 citizens of Nevis. That's an illegal invasion. After 5 years, Nevis will be overthrown and put in a reservation like in North America. Now, let's not forget he's coming with no money. As he said, he'll be using our CBI passport money as so dumb kick Mark Brantley and himself on Booby Island to live. Now, let's not forget." Okay? Yes, I read that before. Yes, let me read that. Now, let's not forget, he's coming with no money. As he said, he will be using our CBI passport money. So dumb kick Mark Brantley and himself on Booby Island to live. Let's call for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller? Yes, my brother. Sounds like
How are you?
Peaceful. Sounds like the Bible man. I am peaceful. What about yourself?
I am wonderful, Mr. Pattins.
Okay.
I have a Bible scripture here.
Mm-hmm.
I am in Lamentation and I'm going to go into the Psalms.
Lamentation. Wow.
Lamentation.
Yes, my brother. Interesting.
Here, Lamentation, chapter 3 said, Pattins.
Mm-hmm.
And you must read it, Mr. Pattins.
Yes, I'm listening.
It is the Lord's mercy that we are not consumed.
Mm-hmm.
For his compassion faileth not.
Yes.
That's it, that?
Yes, I vaguely remember that passage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go into the Psalms, Mr. Pattins.
Passion faileth not. Yes.
It is here the Psalms 107, verse 1. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord for his good.
His mercies.
For his mercy endureth forever.
Yes.
He said, let the Redeemer of the Lord say so.
Yes.
Who you have redeemed from the hand of the enemy. Mm-hmm. This poor man cried, and the Lord heard him and delivered him out of all our family troubles.
Yep.
Now Psalm 41, that is the favorite passage of scripture passage.
That's your road march.
Blessed is the man
Consider it the poor.
that considereth the poor.
Yes.
In the time of trouble,
yes, he will.
The Lord shall give it. Patrick, do you know? In Psalm 112, you must read 112 I am not reading it tonight, but I am going to tell you. Read 112.
Okay, my brother.
And then you listen to what I always say it.
Okay, thanks a
You see,
lot.
but you see how the man who consider people, he holds always filled with wealth enough. He always a favor consider. Just read 112. So, Mr. Patrick, you have a pleasant night. Thank you, and I say, but remember, sir, lamentation. It is God's mercy.
Yes.
Why we are not controlled. You hear that? Have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night. We always welcome your spiritual interventions, Mr. Bibleman. I want to thank this caller for holding. It's 9:30, right to the bottom of the hour. You are live, my brother. Hello there.
Yes, Patches. Good evening, man. How you doing tonight, man?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Very interesting thesis and topics tonight. Your observations. You know, Patches, once upon a time, remember we operated without a DPP for a long stretch of time until Adlai Smith was technically appointed by the AG. You know, back then, all I know, my personal observation is right now, tonight, back then and still now, we are operating a dysfunctional society. We do not see the leader of the opposition doing its job in the federal house, and over on Nevis, we don't have a leader of the opposition there. On both sides of the narrows. Let me ask you a question, Patches. That Public Account Committee, was that ever operational since we went independence? Can you do some homework for us?
I think it was. What's the point, though?
Come again?
I think it was, but I was asking what's the point of establishing whether it was operational or not?
I mean, we operate in a society without these checks and balances.
Okay.
You know, this type of stuff is really not fair for the citizens of the country. Like I tell you all the time, these guys are running away with the reckless spending. Your guy Peter H.M. was on again on Freedom FM this afternoon. He's going to bring the information now, and he's going to have some discussion with that Destiny Project.
Okay.
What I want to point out tonight is we see a back and forth between the Prime Minister and the Premier. And this is another question for you, Patches. For the Constitution, is Nevis, the NIA over there, are they responsible for their own lands? If they are, why we have a SSC law and we have this dispute between the Prime Minister and the Premier over who has control over the Nevis lands? We're talking about the two people who said that they're the leaders of our two islands. Remember, they are the ones. What I'm trying to point to tonight is we now have a deadlock between the Premier and the Prime Minister, and it's creating some wranglings between them. What I want to point out to the citizens is that these two fellas tabled a motion and seconded it in the parliament and passed it into law, and this seems like they don't know what they did. Now we hear the Prime Minister saying he don't have control over the Nevis lands. And then so, as you said, and you stated rightly, the Premier, in terms of that Destiny Project, he conceded the last say on them documents to be the signature of the Prime Minister. I mean, how could this be? If Nevis has control over their lands, how could they push through a bill and giving the Prime Minister the last say on a sign-off on a project over at Nevis? And I hear the narratives all the time. The projects for Nevis is being blocked down in Bastille.
Wait,
If that's the case,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So we don't. So my viewers and listeners would understand. The project is not just about land. Period. It's about immigration. It's about taxes. And then who controls immigration? Who controls our tax breaks and so on? It's the federal government.
Yeah, customs and all this type of
Yeah,
stuff. National
customs. Yeah.
security.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, before we get into a back and forth ourselves
No,
here,
I just
I'm gonna
want
agree with you.
we're not getting in back and forth.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
trying to bring.
that's very.
I'm just trying to bring some clarification.
clarity.
It's not just about
Yeah,
land.
that's very.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I'm pointing. Yes, I'm agreeing. I'm going to agree with you with that point you brought up. Yeah, I understand that fully, and I know your listeners understand that as well. But in terms of the lands, because the Destiny people are trying to get the lands, the prime minister is saying he don't have the control over that specifics. Yes, he got control over national security and customs and that type of stuff. And what I will say about that is that it's very appalling that the prime minister, him being the leader of he got the portfolio about national security, and he would not be concerned about customs, those people bringing in stuff over there, like you said, bonded stuff, and they're not going to be searched. Those are the type of things that I'm pointing to the prime minister. The area, the portfolio that he has, that he's in control of, like you said just now, is appalling to me that he's not concerned about those things. And I'll leave it there for now. I'll come back in later.
Okay. Thank you very much for your contribution, as usual. And just to remind us that our quotation for tonight is the best weapon of a dictatorship is secrecy. But the best weapon of a democracy should be the weapon of openness. Some Labour people in 2026, read this email, are still so gullible and impressionable, similarly to the days in the 50s and 60s when the leaders of Labour would tell them that a donkey is a cow, and they completely believe. That is the way still today. I am so sorry for those uneducated persons reads this email. Harris has proved himself as the unrivaled and unparalleled Minister of Finance in St. Kitts and Nevis. Douglas can honestly attest to that, and he is the only man I can see right now that can get the Federation out of this massive debt crisis that Drew has plunged the country in. The IMF will soon be back at us. These Labour finance ministers, including Nevis's Premier Brantley, are bad spenders. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Yes, Mr. Label, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
There's a lot of talk in the Federation about the SSV proposal. It is something that people are saying that the citizens of the island should see. I listened to Peter Adrian and his program today, and he declared that he was able to get a little perusal of the legislation. And that legislation that is there, nobody in the NIA, nobody in the two governments put together can go through that proposal and understand it and get it down pat. And so when the Premier of Nevis said to us that his cabinet went through the proposal and came to the conclusion that it was good for Nevis before they sent it down to the Prime Minister, I took Peter Adrian's word because of his experience in those fields, and to say that the Premier deceived us when it comes to the proposal. He and his cabinet do not have the capacity to go through all of the proposals, to look at all the loopholes that are inside there, and to flesh it out and say this thing is not good for us. I am convinced that the Premier's vision is set one way, the tunnel vision. His family stand to make out like bandits. And so he is bent on having this proposal signed because his family stand to make a substantial amount of money out of it. And so the people of Nevis needs to understand it. It is clear from what is inside that proposal that Johnson are the ones who stands to benefit out of this, not with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It is for their advantage. And so I'm appealing to the citizens of the Federation to join us on the march on Friday and then the following Friday in Bastille. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My Straight Dog family, well said. Well said. If you have just joined us, it's 20 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. And tonight we considered the thesis, which I titled, Jew Practice What He Preached, Secrecy. And it took what he practiced from Bastille to CARICOM. But let us go back to the lines and say good night to this caller. I'll get back to that. Caller, are you there? Yes, sir.
But I also want to reinforce him, right? I want him to recognize that the discussion with Peter Adrian this afternoon is not really about the SEC law. It's about the destiny proposal itself.
The proposal, yeah.
Yeah, I want to just ask him to remember that. I'm not saying this to get at him. I'm just reinforcing him. You know what I'm saying? And what I want to say additionally is, yes, you have that thesis about secrecy. And Adrian also said today he believes that the governments with an S, they do not want the citizens to see what's in those documents. And there is some near 2,000 pages. And he, in his humble opinion, thinks that the NIA, they don't really have the time to go through all of those papers. And that's very appealing for the top person at Nevis, who is such a learned lawyer. And I just want to say that it appears that they are pushing a lot of propaganda with that Destiny Project, because just like that Bastille, like the Smart Hospital, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't appear that the Prime Minister has the lands available to start that. And likewise, with the Destiny Project on Nevis, I've heard on a podcast Friday, and this is coming from a real true source on Nevis, Destiny itself may not even have 30% of the lands. And I will leave it there. And lastly, I'll say, like the previous caller, we have another chance or chances. If we disapprove of the Destiny Project and also the SSC, we have 2 chances again to go in the street and protest against that. On the 10th over at Nevis and on the 17th in St. Kitts of July. And thanks to the organizers. Thanks a lot, man. Patches, have a good night, man. Get home safe.
Yes, have a good night as well, my dear brother. We go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Liebert.
Yes, my dear.
I'm concerned about those persons that was on the boat last week on the upper sider. I hope things are getting a little easier for them. And they must remember that God is in control. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening as well, my dear. Yes, we have not heard or have any updates on the upper side. And I was a little bit confused that I saw release from Scasper when And there's nothing coming from the Department of Maritime Affairs, which is the right body and only body authorized by law to investigate maritime or marine accidents. So I don't know why the SCASPA is trying to usurp that authority. But the legislation is very, very clear on that. Loss of visa access to America and Europe, high crime and murder rate, low living standards and friction, love lost between family and friends. In contrast, rich and corrupt politicians. The people now need to protest whenever and wherever a CARICOM meeting is being held to show our disgust, reads this email. Let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Thank you again, Patrick. 15 minutes before the hour. As I requested, in respect to this ad hoc committee that the Prime Minister stated was appointed or was going to be appointed, we need to know their names. We need to know who will have that decision making that will determine the Federation fate. The fate is not just about Nevis, it's about St. Kitts too. We are one. The other thing is, for all these bubble, when I think of bubble, using that word, I think of Dwyer Ascafan. How does these bubbles instigate or feel to see how they are treating its people who elected them to represent them diligently, and they have foolishly failed the people? Another thing is saying about the treasury has no money or there is no money, things hard. Compare with all these investors like the Destiny, which might be the biggest shot they're making, to get Destiny money to continue their paycheck. And this is absurd. He who taketh monies or wealth wrongfully, the gift of that unjust man are not accepted. What happened to the people? The people are suffering while these people must find a way to sustain themselves financially. It is wrong. God is watching. And they will not escape the wrath that they have committed upon themselves. They create a storm and they got caught up in it, and they are blaming others. But God is great, He is wonderful, and He is merciful. Repent and atone for your sin, Prime Minister Joe and Premier Brantley. Your wealth does not mean one thing, and it will do nothing. So continue. God is watching you. Thank you for that time again. Bye for now.
Thank you for your intervention. It's 12 minutes before the 10 o'clock hour. Remember, Straight Talk is heard every Monday and Thursday from 8 to 10 in the PM. And tonight we looked at our thesis, Drew practiced what he preached, secrecy. And as I intimated through my introduction, that most, if not all of us, I'm sure, are quite familiar with the age-old idiom, practice what you preach, which has its roots stretching from Roman playwright Plato to the Bible, meaning that you should behave the exact same way you advise others to behave. Failing to do so is a classic definition of being a hypocrite. And that core truth, that's the core truth when one examines the political double standards, lack of transparency, and backroom governance currently on display in our Caribbean region. And I reminded you that just a few days ago, on July the 1st to be exact, the chairmanship of CARICOM continued in rotation after 50 plus years. And the chairmanship of CARICOM rotates among the heads of government of its 50 member states on a strict 6-month schedule, transfers every January 1 and July 1, ensuring fair representation. And there's some rotation rules. Each member state's prime minister or president serves as the chair of the conference of the heads of government for half a year. And there's a bureau system to maintain regional continuity. The chairmanship operates by a 3-person team. The serving chair works alongside the incoming chair, the leader next in line, and the outgoing chair, the previous leader. And currently, Prime Minister Philip Pierre of St. Lucia assumed the chairmanship from July 1, and he'll be there to December 31st. That's his 26th term. But let's go back to the lines and thank this caller for holding. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
Yes, my dear brother. Abracadabra, yes.
Abracadabra. You see the lady called because she concerned. If it's not too much, can you please give us an update next on Thursday about what went down and that the apple cider?
What went down?
No, I said, can you give us an update on Thursday night on what happened? Just what we ain't hear nothing.
Well, if I get information, I provide it, but I haven't had any new information.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. If it's not too much for you to investigate and see if you get something.
I can't investigate it. There's a Department of Maritime Affairs which has the authority by law to investigate these accidents.
Okay.
And they have an obligation to report to the country.
We know who you is. You know that you look out for the people. So I'm just asking if it's not too much you can do, but it's on you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. If I have information, I'll provide information. I can assure you that. But in terms of the authority, it lies with the Department of Maritime Affairs, and there's a director. I think that's the position. A director of Maritime Affairs who controls all of that, and perhaps I'll look for the particular piece of legislation to ensure that I'm guiding you accurately. So our Prime Minister, as I was saying earlier, Terence Michael Drew, in keeping with the said tradition or rotation, handed the baton to Prime Minister Philip Pierre of St. Lucia after one of the most turbulent, disunited 6 months in any period of rotation. And my Straight Talk family, before the meeting, Terence Michael Drew had the gall to crank up his propaganda machine. He cranked up his propaganda machine. And look what he put out just before the heads of government meeting, which is going on as we speak. Drew's CARICOM leadership stands out as steady, visionary, and unifying in a critical time. Imagine Terence Michael Drew's CARICOM leadership stands out as steady, visionary, and unifying in a crucial time. Terence Michael Drew deserves commendation for the steady, principled and visionary leadership he has provided to the CARICOM community during one of its most challenging periods in recent history. But Terence Michael Drew failed us all, and he failed the CARICOM region. No wonder, my Stray Dog family, the new chairman, Philip Peer, came in and he expressed his willingness or his eagerness for unity.
History may forgive us for disagreements. It may even forgive us for delay, but it will never forgive us for failing to create a stronger, safer, fairer, and more united Caribbean community. And as I assume this chairmanship of CARICOM, I do so with humility, determination, and with a deep sense of respect for the responsibility to the people of the region. I'm prepared to serve and listen to my colleagues while working with them in advancing the common good of the CARICOM people. Unity within CARICOM must be foundational.
Yes, unity within CARICOM must be foundational. And tonight I address in particular the citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and all our brothers and sisters across the Caribbean community. And I submitted in the process that there is an illusion of accountability. There's an old unshakable truth that governs leadership. To wit, what you practice is what you preach. And true leaders do not have two faces. True leaders do not have one set of rules for the public stage and another for behind closed doors. True leaders do not demand transparency from their opponents while locking their own closets and burying the keys. Yet today, when we look at the administration of Terence Michael Drew, we see a disturbing, repeating pattern of behavior. And Terence Michael Drew took his poor behavior and incompetence from right here in Basseterre all the way to CARICOM. My Stray Dog family, just look at his administration at home. We were promised an era of good governance. Instead, we have been handed an era of information lockouts and hidden truths. I spoke to the World Bank report, my Stray Dog family.
So I also want to speak about the sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis. The World Bank has sent its analysis, which is now with the FS, which will have discussions with the Nevis Island administration so that we can flesh out properly how we will set up the mechanism to make sure that the sharing of revenues, whether tax or non-tax, that is totally transparent and open so that there is no question as to who gets what is the unfair sharing. But there should be equity. Equity, of course, takes into account difference in population and so forth. But nonetheless, it is critically important that there is equity and that nobody is shut out. Neither St. Kitts as an island nor Nevis as an administration should be shut out of what should be a transparent way of sharing revenues.
And I was deliberate, my Stray Dog family, because that report he's referred to is from February 2025. Yet rather than laying that report bare before the parliament and the citizens, it has been kept in the shadows. Why hide the economic reality from the taxpayers who fund this government, my Stray Dog family? But at 2 before 10, I'll take and make this perhaps my final call for tonight. Caller, you live. Hello, caller? Are you there, caller?
Yes, Mr. Libert, Carl here again. Remember, last week Thursday, I did ask about that World Bank report for the fair share between St. Kitts and Nevis. we are yet, remember the Prime Minister did some time ago promise that they are going to look at it, and he said it there again, and then the public would get to assess it and think. Now, the question I am asking, seeing that this project in Nevis, let's call it, has been abandoned by the federal government, because if you ain't not sign off on it, you abandon it. And seeing that, if you ask Mark Brantley, what does the World Bank report said, he will tell you himself he don't know. If you ask him, did the Prime Minister discuss what is in the report and what is going to be the proposed fair share according to the World Bank, he will tell you he don't know. Now the question is, why we had to go to the World Bank to do an assessment report after all these years and after all these attempts for Nevis to break away from thinking for many, many things they were not satisfying. Mr. Libert, we have a constitution that speaks about how the fair share is supposed to go. And the other question is, Mr. Libert, we are hearing, well, we know Unity had increased the money is going to Nevis to 66 million. We are hearing for a number of many months now that the Labour government has cut it to 30 plus million. Do you have any such information? And if that is so, are we going to shortly hear the cry of separation from Think It's again? Because the last time those elections came up and the Latarara Calypsonians even were singing it, and it was discussed all around the Federation and beyond the Federation that Nevis must separate, and some were saying Nevis must not separate. Are we going to hear the separation of Nevis from Think It again, seeing that? And I must educate the people, Mr. Libert. Every time Labour is in this come up, and there's a lot of dissatisfaction that Nevis is not getting what is truly due to them every time a Labour government is in, and people could check the history. Because the history is there to speak.
Okay, Carl, thanks.
So the question I'm asking, are we going to hear the cry in several months or weeks coming down before our federal election of separation from Nevis? Is that going to be a campaign slogan in Nevis? Because you remember, every time this come up, is CCM in power. And if CCM just bring this to the floor and to the parliament and to the public square. Good night, Mr. Scott.
Good night, my brother. Thanks for your intervention. I'm not too certain, though, that Brantley would say he was not aware of the report, because I'm almost certain that he said he discussed it, and his cabinet discussed it, having received a copy from the Prime Minister. The question of the fair share, I believe, was the 25% came out, but I have to reconfirm that. I'm a little cautious even making a statement like this one. But the fact that the revenue intake, the issue, a matter of fact, before that, the Constitution speaks to tax revenue, and there's this silly argument about non-tax revenue. As far as I am concerned, those are just economic classifications, Revenue is revenue. But let me take this call. Okay, I've lost that caller. I was going to take this call and make it my final call. But the tax and non-tax revenue, as I am concerned, are just, as I am of the view are just economic classifications. But the fact that, remember, the revenue, CBI revenue, has fell from over 600 million and was just projected at just over $100 million for this fiscal year. So I think that's where the issue comes in terms of the fair share. But we can discuss that next time around. But finally, tonight, I wanted to refer to the information or CBI blackout. Caller, I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Can you use it?
15 seconds. Good night.
How are you? How are thou? You're fortunate. I'll give you some time. Give you a minute. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you 1 minute.
Yeah.
Can you use it?
Yeah. I'm okay. How are you?
I am peaceful. I can see those dimples.
I really want to know what's going on in the Caribbean down here. It seems to me like everybody gone crazy. All the prime minister then look out they crazy. What them on the picture there? You see the head no good. You gonna tell me a man gone in there, mash up carry come. He time doing him up yet and he don't take over another position to go deal with Rastaman. What's really going on down here in this Caribbean down here with those crazy prime minister? You look up, they just talk at night when night time come. Because me listen, wholeness day and type of thing. And just what wholeness I say is what a crazy one down here say. So you look up when night time come, they got a conversation talking things and what's not. What's really going on? Huh? Everything bad is done here for us. This done here again. All fool they just come the 1st of April, but it seems to me look okay, I think it's faster than April. Imagine. Marsha, she going to build up here, as she said. And it must take about 5:30 to get down, and he can't fix 5. Because them don't want to mark it down there, so they don't fix it. So how she gonna left the small one and going to do the big one? That's another half full the force. Okay. What's really going on in this place here?
True.
My God, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. But this you recall, the poor can't take no more. It's too much for us.
Okay, my dear.
And that one over Nevis over there again. He got so much of things going on. Everybody over Nevis going to get 100 US. This amount of money going to be taking out this other. But he still need 10,000 passport. So what the passport them is for? If everybody gonna get 100 US, even the babies, the man already look up in a barn, you're gonna get 100 US. So you see, that's a lot of money. So if you have so much of money to give all of them, what you want 10,000 passport for? Is the 10,000 passport is to put down here, put this one down here, because you don't register yourself up there? So this passport now is to get put down here. Lord Father Jesus, now you need to
help us.
Oh boy, help us, Lord. We need help.
Yes.
We need help in this place. There is a demon between St. Kitts and Nevis. Don't care what we try to do. It look like the demon they must stick on more hard upon top of us. I want to know if Mr. Pierre. So when King Lawyer give up his position, is Pierre going to take it over? So Pierre got one, and King Lawyer got another one.
Well, the position rotates every 6 months. So June's 6 month period ended at June the 30th. So pay,
Yeah, but look at the
yeah, but pays the
look at
chairman.
Joe.
Pays the chairman. Pays the chairman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So after King Lawyer, he up his throne. He going to take it over.
He already appointed as chairman. He
He
accepted
done
it.
appointed the chairman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday he accepted it. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Officially,
our King Lawyer going to be. And then the part for you after ban them.
Well, I don't know if you can.
That's what he going to be. So you find out like he and Pia are work together.
Okay, my dear, I'm out of time, but always good to hear nonetheless.
Wait, then.
We're going to follow up this discussion on Thursday, okay?
Yeah. You take care. You have a pleasant night.
Have a pleasant night as well. And finally, we're going to take a look at our citizenship by investment program, our CBI. Our economic lifeline, constantly embroiled in question of numbers, signed passports, and regulatory compliance. When the media asks the Prime Minister direct questions about CBI figures, he points his finger at the citizenship by investment unit. But when the media knocks at the CIU's door, they are met with total silence. Senjos has tight lips. The leader of our nation, caller, I'm really out of time. I'm going to give you 10 seconds and no more. Can you take 10 seconds?
You can get less than 10 seconds, Brother Practice. Blessed night to you.
Yes, blessed night, my brother.
And love and honor. How you there was for the joy of the ancestors and the Almighty.
Peaceful, my brother, peaceful. And yours?
Well, give thanks. Me joyfully, me appear by me family side. We are reminiscing for the time coming along for the transition when we auntie is going to put too late on the 10th of July. So, and I is up here by the family right now. With strength and love. See, so.
Accept my sympathy, my brother. Accept my sympathy.
Love and respect, Brother Practice. Give thanks. I just like to say, I hope that with all the things that are employing on your discussion tonight, we'll see a different layout in the level of our people representation and respect to our people. So I hope that we people really see us and how we see changes for development to SECRECY and Nevis and the people along within these development. So protect your humble each tonight with the love of the Almighty and the ancestors. Give thanks.
Give thanks, my brother. Ras Ayal, the leader of our nation, has direct access to our files. But Terence Michael Drew has been tight-lipped about the threats to our visa-free access to the Schengen area. By the end of this year, 2026, over concerns surrounding our CBI program. And this breaking news out of Antigua and Barbuda. Government to engage EU after request to end citizenship investment program by 2028. Imagine that. Backdoor dealing, concealing the number of passports sold, although Drew revealed the number of shares passports on the jail project. No doubt. The jail project was approved by Tim, but there's also no doubt that Drew signed 80% of the CORs, the certificates of registration. Now Brantley wants 10,000 shares for Destiny. The country does not know how many shares or passports Terence Michael Drew is planning to approve for Destiny if Destiny is still alive. But not one word on this release, my straight talk family, from Terence Michael Drew. Gaston Gazidred Brown was upfront with his people in Antigua and Barbuda, as always, and told them this.
The Union has threatened that they could withdraw their visa-free access potentially by the end of the year. We don't know for sure they will, but we're trying to have a high-level engagement with them to see if we can ask them to reconsider. We have the view that an electronic travel authorization should be sufficient, though it's not as extensive in terms of the due diligence compared to visa. We think that it's a sensible thing to do to maintain the good relations that we've had over the years, not to throw out the baby with the bathwater. So we are hoping that we'll get that engagement before any such action is taken. But there are these threats that are taking place within Europe. You'd recognize that recently Ireland actually discontinued visa-free arrangements with St. Nevis. Yes. And we could anticipate that despite our best efforts that these visa-free arrangements may be discontinued. What I will say here under my leadership and certainly on the Labour Party's governance of this country, with or without those visa-free arrangements, our CIP program continues. It is too important a source of non-tax revenue to give it up. And we are pretty sure that we have strengthened our program and that it does not represent any significant risk to any country. We do accept that you have the residual risk in which from time to time you may end up with one or two crooks. Nothing is foolproof, and it's no different from their investment immigration programs. Even the EB-5 program in the United States, they've had a lot of crooks. I mean, the one in Canada too. But they keep pointing fingers at us as though, they are not fallible and as though their programs have not attracted crooks too.
But my Straight Dog family, will visa-free arrangements giving access to the Schengen area continue? That's the question we're going to leave with you. But our Prime Minister is silent. But when Terence Michael Drew took up the mantle as chairman of CARICOM, we all hoped he would elevate our federation's reputation. Instead, the exact same unprofessional habits of concealment were put on display for the entire Caribbean to witness. The surreptitious reappointment of Secretary General Barnett. Look at what transpired during the 50th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. In February, pushed through the reappointment of the Secretary General. This wasn't an open, standard procedure, because member states like Trinidad and Tobago had to file formal written objectives because the item was completely omitted from the provisional agenda. It was never debated in open plenary sessions. Instead, it was handled quietly during a private retreat. But my Straight Dog family, just like the World Bank reported home, the decision to reappoint the Secretary General was entirely left out of the official summit communique issued to the public. But despite those concerns, there has been no indication from CARICOM that the reappointment has been reversed or suspended, although the views from Professor Ghani we ought to listen to.
Pointing to the February reappointment of Dr. Carla Barnett to a second 5-year term as CARICOM Secretary General, political scientist Professor Hamid Ghani described the vote as problematic. He referenced a 48-page constitutional opinion by UWI law professor Rajendra Ramlogan, which concludes that there may be strong legal grounds to challenge the validity of the reappointment before the Caribbean Court of Justice.
The governance issues, how the organization governs itself, is something that I think the whole Carla Barnett episode has forced CARICOM to look at itself and how it governs itself. and do you do something as prominent as reappointing a Secretary General without some kind of formal agenda item and a confession that the matter was never on the agenda, but you still went ahead and had a little meeting in Nevis, and you appointed, reappointed a Secretary General.
TNT's delegation was upset.
And my Straight Talk family, that's the question, a pertinent one. But again, there has been no indication from CARICOM that the reappointment will be reversed, or has been reversed, or suspended. As matters stand, Dr. Barnett remains the Secretary General and is due to commence a second term in August 2026. Until that time, we'll wait and see the reaction from Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Besad Besesar. Would Philip Peer convince Kamla? But this is not a question of individual competence. It is a question of constitutional procedural integrity. You cannot preach regional integration, institutional strength, and democratic unity, and then practice backroom deals, omitted agendas, and hidden reports. Tell us about the CBI. Tell us about the EU and its threats. But my Straight Talk family, the lesson is clear. The way a leader performed at home is exactly how they will perform on the global stage. Drew epitomized that. His culture of concealment in Bastia became the culture of concealment for CARICOM. It is time to reject the politics of shadows. It is time to demand leaders who understand that honesty is not a performance, it is a practice. We need good leaders. And here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we must therefore demand a government that finally practices exactly what it preaches, not secrecy. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank Almighty God for guiding our conversation tonight, as always. I want to thank you, my many viewers, all around the globe. Those who sent emails and those who called. Remember, all of you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. Until we connect on Thursday for another edition of Straight Talk, remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday, keep moving on.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, I'll fear, since God protects me with his love. Strong, pure and true, and so sincere, 'cause my knees I'll always stay to the Lord in prayer. So whatever my mind conceive that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on, I gotta reach the top